I shouldn't be telling you this. I know that. Whatever happens after you hear it, I can't be responsible. But the truth, the thing I bought from the dark web, it's alive. Not in the way a pet is alive, or a plant, or even something that makes sense. This is different. It breathes in a way that shouldn't exist. It reacts. It watches. And it's here, in my apartment, moving when I'm not looking, waiting for me to make a mistake. I found it late at night, of course. The kind of night where the hum of my refrigerator and the occasional car outside feel louder than usual, and your own thoughts start to echo. The box arrived in a plain brown package, no label, no return address, but the moment I touched it, I felt it. A pulse. Not my own heartbeat. I knew that instantly. It was small, subtle, but unmistakably alive. I tried to ignore it at first, reasoning with myself like a sane person would. It's just a box. There's nothing inside that can hurt you. But that voice is gone now, drowned out by the faint, almost imperceptible creaks it makes, the subtle shifts in weight whenever I glance away. I can't tell you everything yet, because some of it is still happening. But I need you to know this. I made a choice, a dangerous, reckless choice, and what I bought, what I opened, has already begun to change everything. Tomorrow, or maybe tonight, I'll tell you how it started, how I found the listing, and why curiosity is sometimes the most dangerous thing you can have. It started as something stupid. A bored night, my laptop open, headphones on, scrolling through forums I probably shouldn't have been in. I was hunting for nothing in particular, just the kind of random, dark corners of the internet that make you feel clever for finding them. That's when I saw a thread titled simply, "The Boxes." At first I laughed. Boxes, seriously. Someone had posted a grainy photo of a small unmarked crate with text claiming that it was alive and would respond to whoever opened it. The post had hundreds of comments, most dismissive, some downright paranoid. One user, something like Watcher88, wrote, "Do not touch it. People who have disappear or lose more than they bargained for. Curiosity will kill you." Literally. I thought about that warning for a second, then ignored it. Of course I ignored it. Warnings are meant for other people, for the ones who panic. I clicked deeper into the thread, fascinated by myself. The thread led me to a listing on some hidden dark website. Plain text, no images beyond the single grainy photo, no reviews beyond cryptic phrases like, "It knows," and "You won't survive the night." I texted my friend Alex while hesitating over my laptop, half expecting him to tell me I was insane. "Bro, this is just a dumb post, right? A meme or something?" He replied almost immediately, "Don't, seriously don't. You know how those threads go. People get messed up." I laughed. "It's just a box, Alex. How bad could it be?" "Famous last words," he texted back. The contrast between my ordinary life and this forbidden curiosity was striking. Days before, I'd been complaining about my boring evenings, staring at the same walls, the same ceiling, and now I was here, navigating a hidden site, typing in my address, wondering what horrors might literally arrive on my doorstep. I debated for hours. I read through every warning, every obscure anecdote about lost boxes and strange occurrences. Part of me screamed to close the tab, to delete the page, to go back to mundane safety. But curiosity, dangerous, relentless curiosity, won. I clicked buy, and then nothing happened. The page refreshed. My heart thumped as I stared at the confirmation. Shipment will arrive in 3 to 5 days. Every rational part of my brain knew I had crossed a line. Every irrational part was already imagining what might be inside, pulsing or breathing, waiting for me to make a mistake. I closed the laptop, but sleep didn't come. Every creak in my apartment sounded louder. Every shadow seemed to move just slightly on its own. The anticipation was unbearable, a tense thread winding tighter around my chest. I didn't know if I'd made a terrible mistake or if I had just scratched the surface of something far worse. The box arrived on a gray, rainy afternoon, the kind of weather that makes even the smallest noise echo. I almost didn't recognize it at first. No label, no return address, just a plain, slightly worn cardboard cube sitting awkwardly on my doormat. Something about its presence felt deliberate, like it had been waiting for me and only me. I carried it inside, careful not to jostle it too much. The weight was heavier than it looked, dense in a way that didn't make sense for its size. I ran my fingers over the surface and froze. The cardboard was smooth, yet uneven, almost as if tiny veins ran beneath it, pulsing faintly under my touch. A faint hum seemed to resonate from within, just audible enough to make me question my sanity. The smell hit me next, a faint metallic tang, mixed with something organic, damp earth maybe, or something worse I couldn't identify. I set the box on the kitchen counter, my hands trembling slightly, and noticed small symbols scratched into the sides. Strange, looping markings that seemed familiar and alien at the same time. I felt certain I'd seen them before, in some obscure forum screenshot, but in reality I had no idea. And then it moved. Not violently, not like it fell or shifted because of gravity. A subtle shift, just enough to make the edges misalign slightly, as if the box were adjusting its stance to face me. I blinked, heart hammering, convinced I had imagined it. But the next time I glanced away and back, it had shifted again. I stepped back, debating. Part of me wanted to open it immediately, to satisfy the growing, gnawing curiosity that had been building since the day I clicked buy. Another part, deeper and wiser perhaps, screamed at me to walk away, to abandon it entirely. The air around it seemed heavier, charged with an energy I couldn't name. I touched it again, and the hum beneath my fingertips thrummed in time with my pulse. The room felt smaller, every shadow stretching toward the box. My rational mind fought to take control, but something inside me already knew. Opening this box would change everything. I sat at the edge of my kitchen counter, staring down at the box like it was a living thing, and in hindsight, I think I already knew it was. My hands shook as I reached for the flaps, hesitation clawing at me from every angle. "Don't do it! Walk away!" The rational voice inside me screamed, but the other voice, the one that thrives on curiosity and disaster, whispered, "Just one peek, just a peek." I lifted the first flap, slow, deliberate. The box seemed to sigh, or maybe it was the sound of the cardboard stretching under pressure. A faint movement caught my eye. Something underneath the top layer shifted, subtle but undeniable. My stomach turned. It's just the wind, or the way I'm imagining it, I told myself, though the hum that had been growing stronger beneath my fingertips told a different story. The second flap came open, and I froze. Inside, wrapped in layers of crumpled, yellowed paper, was something that moved. A pulsing motion, almost like a heartbeat, barely perceptible, but I could see it if I stared long enough. I reached out with a trembling finger, hovering over the paper. Do not touch it, just don't. But I did. I peeled back the layers, one by one. With every fold, the pulsing grew stronger, more insistent, as if it was aware of me, waiting for me. A faint, wet sound reached my ears, low and rhythmic. Alive, I whispered under my breath, voice shaking, tasting the word like poison. My apartment suddenly felt too small, the shadows deeper, the air heavier. I muttered aloud, almost as if talking to myself would ground me. This isn't possible. Nothing should move like this. My words echoed back at me, swallowed by the strange hum emanating from the box. It shifted slightly again, adjusting itself, almost as if it was observing my reactions. Finally, I lifted the last layer of paper, and what I saw made me recoil. A small, dark shape, almost amorphous, wriggled slightly as if breathing. I could swear it blinked, or at least reacted to my gaze. My heart pounded so loudly I was certain it would give me away, that it would know I was watching. I stumbled back a step, nearly knocking the box over, and it adjusted instantly, righting itself without a sound. This can't be real, I said to myself. But every instinct I had screamed that it was. Alive, definitely alive. The paper wrinkled under its subtle movements, and I could hear the faintest whisper of a sound that wasn't mine. It was small, almost human, almost mocking. I backed away, mind racing. Rational thought was a distant memory now. I was entirely consumed by fear, awe, and a strange, perverse fascination. Whatever this thing was, it had its own rules, its own awareness, and I had crossed the line. The last thing I remember before the terror fully sank in was the box twitching, as if satisfied with its small performance. I knew then that this was only the beginning, and that it was already learning, watching, waiting for me to make my next mistake. I couldn't stop staring at it. The box sat on my counter like a predator disguised as an object. Subtle movements rippling beneath its cardboard surface, almost taunting me. My hands itched to touch it again, to see if it would react, to understand. Rational thought tried to fight back. Don't! Step away! Close the lid! Walk away! But every fiber of curiosity, every reckless impulse ignored that warning. I reached out slowly, finger trembling, hovering over the surface. The box seemed to tense, edges shifting slightly, almost in response to my hesitation. I whispered to myself, trying to rationalize, "It's just a box. There's nothing alive in a box. I'm imagining things." But the faint hum beneath my fingertips contradicted that thought. It thrummed in rhythm with my pulse, sending chills through my arms. I pressed lightly on the top. The box pulsed back. Not violently, not aggressively, more like it was acknowledging me, testing me. My heart pounded in my chest. Do I pull back or push further? I thought of Alex and the text he had sent, warning me, mocking me. Famous last words. I laughed bitterly, a short, nervous sound. Yeah, you were right. You were so right, Alex. Curiosity won again. I carefully lifted one corner of the lid, and the movement inside became sharper, more pronounced. A faint click echoed from within, a noise that wasn't mechanical, not wood or plastic. I pulled back my hand instinctively. The box shifted slightly, almost like it was disappointed. My stomach churned as a terrifying realization settled in. It understood boundaries. It has rules, and I'm learning them the hard way. I sat on a stool, gripping the edge of the counter, whispering to myself, "Okay, okay, just observe. Don't touch it." I watched the subtle pulsing, the wriggling shadows beneath the paper lining, trying to decipher any logic to its movements. But the box's behavior was deliberate, intelligent. When I leaned closer, it seemed to retreat. When I pulled back, it expanded slightly, as if claiming space. Hours passed. I debated calling Alex, but fear of sounding insane silenced me. If I tell someone, they'll never believe me. And if they do, what then? Can they handle it? I realized that some knowledge, like some contact, wasn't meant to be shared lightly. My own hands itched again, drawn to it like a moth to flame, aware that any second interaction could escalate into something irreversible. By nightfall, the apartment felt smaller. Shadows clung to corners, the faint hum resonating through the walls. I noticed the box subtly shifting, not just in response to me now, but to sounds outside the room, footsteps in the hallway, the distant hum of traffic, even the creak of my refrigerator. It was aware of its surroundings, absorbing every detail, measuring, learning. The moral dilemma gnawed at me. Walk away and leave it untouched, or engage and risk whatever consciousness or whatever intelligence lurked inside. I felt the weight of the choice pressing down on me. One wrong move, one touch too many, and I suspected the consequences wouldn't just be personal. And yet, I couldn't stop myself. I reached for the edge again, hesitant, heart racing. The box pulsed in acknowledgement, its subtle, almost imperceptible movements becoming sharper. I realized then that the danger wasn't just physical, it was psychological, predatory. It wanted me to act, to explore, to make mistakes, and I was exactly the kind of fool it had been waiting for. I leaned back slightly, breathing fast, whispering, "What are you? What are you?" The box shifted, almost as if it answered, a subtle vibration beneath my fingertips. It was alive, and it knew I knew. I couldn't just sit there. The box's subtle awareness was gnawing at the edges of my sanity, and I needed answers. I turned to the one place that had first drawn me in, the forums, the threads buried deep in the dark web where no one sane should tread. My fingers trembled as I typed, searching for phrases I'd glimpsed before. Alive boxes, they watch, do not open. The results were sparse, but terrifying. Old posts, years stale, yet each carried the same undertone. Warning, despair, obsession. Boxes that moved on their own, breathed, pulsed, sometimes whispered. One post, buried so deep I had to follow a chain of dead links to find it, claimed a box could learn you, predict you, and punish curiosity. The account vanished shortly after posting. No replies, no follow-up, just a ghost in the digital void. I scrolled through screenshots of similar packages. Most were small, nondescript, but the descriptions matched. Strange markings, a subtle hum, the almost imperceptible pulse. Some accounts mentioned rules, simple at first, nearly invisible. Touch only when prompted. Never open entirely. Do not look directly for too long. The rules escalated for each victim. Those who ignored them weren't heard from again. One thread caught my attention more than the others. The user called themselves Silent Eyes, and they claimed to have studied a series of boxes for months. Their posts were fragmented, filled with almost paranoid repetition. They're not objects, they're entities. They respond to intent. They know when you doubt. They can be calmed temporarily, but never controlled. I paused, staring at the text. Entities, not objects. My stomach twisted. Every instinct screamed that this wasn't just superstition or a prank. I glanced at my box on the counter, small, dark, unmoving, or so I thought. A low, almost imperceptible vibration pulsed beneath my fingers. The words on my screen suddenly felt like commands. I dug deeper, tracing forum chains, bouncing between encrypted threads and archive pages. Some posts mentioned connections to old occult practices, rituals long forgotten, and mysterious packages appearing across continents. Others hinted at conspiracies, secret experiments, hidden societies, and unexplained disappearances tied to these boxes. The more I read, the further ordinary reality faded, replaced by something darker, something alive and watching. Every discovery was a knife edge. I found screenshots showing the same markings scratched into the sides of boxes, photographs taken in kitchens, bedrooms, offices, boxes eerily similar to mine. The descriptions were horrifyingly consistent, pulsing, breathing, reacting. Some victims reported hearing whispers, experiencing vivid dreams, or feeling as if the box followed them. Not physically, but psychologically, spiritually, somehow. I leaned back in my chair, mind racing. My apartment, my ordinary, safe space, suddenly felt claustrophobic. The box sat quietly on the counter, edges misaligned, almost smug, as if it knew what I had just discovered. I realized that my curiosity had not just drawn me in, it had initiated me. The rules weren't just guidelines, they were mandates. Every action, every hesitation, every glance would now ripple consequences far beyond what I could comprehend. I closed the laptop slowly, heart thudding. I could feel the box vibrating faintly under my fingertips, almost impatient. Something was coming, something I had provoked by my research, by my meddling. I had glimpsed forbidden knowledge, and now I would have to face its consequences. That night, I thought I could sleep. I really did. I told myself that observation, research, and distance would be enough, that maybe, just maybe, the box would rest while I slept. But as the apartment darkened, a low, insistent vibration pulsed through the air, subtle yet unmistakable. My chest tightened with dread. I rolled over in bed, trying to convince myself it was nothing, just imagination, just stress. But then it came, a sharp, metallic click, followed by the sound of something sliding across the kitchen counter. My heart leapt. I whispered into the darkness, "No, no, that's impossible." I crawled out of bed, bare feet cold against the floor, and peered into the kitchen. The box sat on the counter, edges slightly ajar, the pulsing rhythm faster, more urgent. A knife I had left nearby, just a routine habit, was now lying on the floor, inexplicably, its blade nicked and bent, as though it had been moved with purpose. I stumbled back, breathing fast. "This isn't real," I muttered. "It can't be real." I reached for the box again, trembling. The moment my fingers brushed the surface, it shivered, almost like it recoiled. My hand stung, light, but enough to make me jerk back. Tiny, red scratches lined my skin, shallow but precise, as if the box had drawn them itself. I hissed in disbelief, pressing my hand against my chest, trying to understand how a cardboard container could leave marks. I backed away and nearly tripped over a chair. Shadows in the room seemed to stretch unnaturally, leaning toward the box. I spoke aloud, half to myself, half to some unseen entity. What do you want?" "You?" My voice trembled, and for a moment silence answered. Then a faint whisper, almost imperceptible. "Closer." Panic surged. I grabbed my phone, thinking to call Alex, but the screen flickered violently, lights dimming in sync with the box's pulsing. The phone buzzed, displaying a message from an unknown number. "Do not leave. Do not hide. Observe." My mind screamed at me. Someone is messing with me. Someone on the other end of the dark web. But the air, heavy and oppressive, told a different story. This wasn't human. Every instinct screamed to stop, to abandon it, to destroy it. But I couldn't. My curiosity, reckless, foolish, relentless, kept me glued to the counter, watching as it moved subtly, edges twitching, almost testing me again. The scratches on my hand throbbed faintly, a warning I could not ignore. I realized then that fear had become intertwined with fascination. Every second I spent near it risked more harm, more unknown consequences. And yet, leaving it alone felt impossible, as if the box demanded my attention. I whispered again, voice shaking. "What happens if I just leave it?" The hum beneath my fingertips grew louder, almost impatient, vibrating in rhythm with my racing heartbeat. I stood frozen, hand hovering near the edge, debating. The first incident had already proven it was dangerous, alive, reactive, aware. Every rational thought clashed with my obsession. I had crossed the line, and now the consequences were tangible, immediate, undeniable. I wish I had listened. I wish I had taken the warning seriously. But curiosity is a cruel friend, and I was its willing accomplice. After the first incident, I thought I could manage it, observe, document, survive. I was wrong. The box grew bolder. Small items around it started moving. Pens rolled across the counter like they had a mind of their own. My coffee mug shifted slightly every time I glanced away. I caught it in the corner of my eye once, my keys levitating for a heartbeat, just long enough to make me drop my phone. And each time I moved closer, it pulsed faster, almost mocking me. I tried reasoning. "It's just reacting to vibrations, drafts, whatever," I muttered. Dark humor became my shield, though I felt ridiculous. "Yeah, sure, a sentient box. Totally normal, Hanzala. Absolutely sane." I laughed nervously. The sound bounced off the walls, sharp and hollow. The box seemed to respond, Edges twitched, shadows shifted. Then came the whispers. Not constant, not loud, just fleeting, almost imperceptible, words that vanished if I tried to focus on them. Closer, closer. Or, not yet. Sometimes they were internal, echoing in my own thoughts. I started feeling like it wasn't just aware of me, it knew me, knew what I feared, what I desired. Every hesitation, every glance, every reckless touch, catalogued. By the third day, the incidents were too frequent to ignore. My apartment became a minefield of subtle terror. Chairs tilted without cause. Lights flickered when I approached the box. I swear I saw it twitch, deliberately, as if it were testing me, preparing me for something worse. I considered taking a video to prove it, but the camera wouldn't record properly. The footage came out warped, static-filled, edges of the box blurring unnaturally. The meta-commentary was unavoidable. I could almost hear the voices online laughing at me. Fool, didn't you read the rules? Didn't you see the patterns? I had seen them. I had read them. And still, I had touched it again and again. Cynicism crept in. I joked to myself, maybe it's just bored. Maybe it wants a friend. Oh sure, a pulsing, living, malevolent cube is lonely. Makes perfect sense. And yet, there was no escaping the fear. I noticed it observing things outside my apartment. Reflections in the window caught slight movements, faint shadows. Was it aware of the world beyond me? I stopped inviting anyone over. I stopped leaving doors open. Even walking past it made my pulse quicken. Sleep became impossible. Every creak, every distant noise, every subtle shift in the shadows felt amplified. It was no longer a curiosity. It was a predator, and it was learning, adapting, planning. I realized the true horror. This wasn't just a box. It was intelligence in a cardboard shell, and I was its entertainment, its experiment, its plaything. By nightfall, the stakes became clear. I had to do something. Contain it, destroy it, hide it, anything to stop the escalating chaos. But how do you destroy something that isn't just alive, but aware? The box pulsed, almost smugly, as if it knew I was thinking these very words. Every instinct screamed, "Don't touch it again." But the pull, the irresistible lure was already tugging me toward the next mistake. I had no choice. The box had escalated beyond subtle tests and minor scratches. It pulsed with a life of its own, responding to every glance, every twitch, every shiver in my chest. I knew I had to confront it, or it would continue to tighten its hold on me, mentally, physically, existentially. I grabbed the heaviest metal container I owned, a small toolbox, and approached cautiously. My hands shook, but my mind was sharp with desperation. If it's aware, it can react, but maybe it respects containment. Maybe it fears boundaries. I whispered to myself, almost as if my words could serve as instructions. This ends now. I'm in control. You obey. The moment I set the box inside the toolbox, it pulsed violently, the cardboard twitching as though alive. A faint hissing sound emanated from within, low, resonant, like air escaping a lung. I slammed the lid shut. A tremor ran through the container, rattling the metal, shaking the floor beneath my feet. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would tear itself from my chest. I backed away, breathing raggedly. The toolbox quivered, then stilled. I thought I had succeeded until the faintest movement tickled the edge of my vision. The box, through its confined prison, shifted subtly, almost smugly. It wasn't trapped. It was observing, adapting, waiting. I shouted, a desperate, trembling sound. "What do you want from me?" My voice echoed, bouncing off the walls, but the answer was inside my head. Faint, almost imperceptible, a whisper, like a thought I couldn't claim as my own. Everything and more. Panic surged, but I forced myself to think. I pulled out my laptop, diving into the research I had been obsessing over for days. The forums, the old threads, the screenshots, they all hinted at a principle I hadn't understood until now. Containment might slow it, but interaction fuels it. Observation empowers it. Fear strengthens it. Armed with this insight, I devised a plan. I spoke aloud, bargaining with the entity like a fool or a madman. I will leave you. I will stop touching you. I will respect your space. But you leave me alone. No more scratches, no more movement, no more chaos. The pulse slowed slightly, a small sigh of relief, or was it mockery? The box seemed calmer, edges twitching intermittently. My chest heaved, sweat dripping down my forehead. Yet the air in the room remained thick, heavy, charged with a force I couldn't quantify. This wasn't mere physics or biology. It was something else. Pseudo-scientific explanations couldn't contain it. Energy manipulation, consciousness transfer, some unknown intelligence compressed into matter. Then came the final escalation. The box slammed against the toolbox lid, harder this time, rattling metal like a beating heart gone rogue. I stumbled back, spilling my laptop. Sparks danced along the counter where my coffee had tipped, a smell of burnt electronics stinging my nose. It pulsed faster, every shift deliberate, almost playful in its malice. I froze. The reality hit me. This wasn't an object. It was intelligence, sentient, strategic, and I was entirely in its field of vision, exposed, predictable. Any further mistake could be catastrophic. My mind raced. I had toyed with forbidden knowledge, and now the consequences had reached a pitch fever. Finally, breathing hard, I lifted the toolbox onto the kitchen table, my voice trembling but firm. We end this now. I braced myself for whatever would happen next. The box quivered violently one last time, then stilled. Silence, except for the faint, irregular hum beneath the lid. I dared not open it, not yet. I stepped back, hands shaking, sweat cold on my skin. The confrontation had ended, but I knew in my gut it wasn't over. It had learned, adapted, observed, and I was certain that whatever consciousness inhabited that cardboard shell would continue to watch and wait. I survived. At least I think I did. The box sits now in that metal toolbox, silent for the moment, pulsing faintly beneath the lid. I've left it untouched for days. Even hours feel like a risk. Every time I pass it, I feel its gaze, subtle but certain, as if it knows I'm thinking about it.
I tried rational explanations. Perhaps it's some mechanical trick, some clever combination of physics and hidden electronics. But that doesn't account for the scratches, the whispered words, the sense of awareness that no human or machine could replicate. I've never believed in the supernatural, yet here I am, trapped between disbelief and undeniable evidence. Meta-commentary doesn't save you, but maybe it can warn you. To anyone watching, reading, listening, don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't seek out things buried in the corners of the internet just because they promise thrills. Curiosity has a price, and I'm still paying mine. In fear, in sleepless nights, in knowing there are forces or entities out there that don't obey our rules. I've tried to document everything, to understand patterns, rules, and weaknesses. The box responds, subtly, almost as if it's aware of my efforts. I've stopped touching it, stopped observing too closely. I've stopped pretending I'm in control. And yet, the dread lingers. I feel it even when I leave the room. a presence in my peripheral vision, in the hum beneath the floorboards. I keep thinking of those forum posts, the disappeared users, the warnings I ignored. Each story was a fragment of the truth I'm only beginning to grasp. There's a network, a pattern, a hidden web of cases like mine. The box is not unique. It's part of something larger, something I am only scratching the surface of. And the scariest part? I know it's watching. Not just me, not just this apartment. Somewhere beyond these walls, in its own way, it's aware of the world I live in. Waiting, learning. I don't know if I'll ever be free of it, or if that's even possible. So I leave this as a warning. Curiosity is a double-edged sword. Some doors, some boxes should never be opened. Some knowledge should remain buried. I survived, yes, but the box isn't gone, and I suspect, deep down, that it never will be, because some things aren't meant to be understood, and some things are very much alive. If you've made it this far, congratulations, or maybe condolences. What I've shared isn't just a story, it's a warning. A box from the dark web isn't a simple curiosity. It's a living, thinking entity, and curiosity has a price. I've experienced it firsthand, and I'm still feeling the consequences. I want to hear from you. Have you ever encountered something online, something hidden, something you probably shouldn't have? Share your experiences in the comments. The theories, the warnings, the "I shouldn't be telling you this" stories, they all matter. I read every single one. Maybe together we can start to understand what these things are, why they exist, and how they choose their victims. If you think this story was intense, just remember there are hundreds of others like it. Threads on forgotten forums, deep web posts long deleted, whispers of entities that aren't bound by our understanding of the world. Some of them, I suspect, are still out there, watching, waiting, learning. I don't know if I'll ever be free of it, or if that's even possible. So I leave you with this. There's another story coming, another box, another entity, another test of curiosity and fear. And just like mine, it's very much alive. So, stay alert, watch closely, and don't make the mistakes I did. The dark web is vast, and some corners are best left in shadow. If you dare, leave your thoughts, theories, and warnings below. Maybe together we'll survive what comes next, or maybe we'll just witness it. Either way, it's watching.